इकोनॉमी का कुछ टॉपिक रीड करूंगा, तो इस वीडियो व इस लाइव सेशन को आप देखते रहिए। माइक्रो एंड मैक्रो। After the Great Depression during the 1930s, the domain of the economics got divided into two broad branches, the micro and macroeconomics. The John Maynard Keynes is considered the father of the microeconomics. The branch came into the being after the publication of the seminal work, The General Theory of Employment, the Interest and the Money in 1936. It's simply put, the microeconomist, the macro is the element of forest. Microeconomist, macro is the objectives, while the former deals with the big picture, the forest, the latter deals with the details, the trees that make up the forest. Micro and macro are the Greek word which mean the small and the big respectively. While the micro takes the bottoms of the approach to analyze the economy, the macro takes the top down the approach, taking an example for the micro tries to understand the choice which the consumers make and the income the earn. The micro tries to understand the dynamics of the input and the growth to the appear to the difference between the actually independent and the competitive. Since there are many overlapping issues between them. For example, the rise in the inflation, the macro effect was rise in the cost of raw material, leading to the rise in the fees which the consumer will pay. The micro effect. Micro data evolved from the theories of the how prices and that determine the macro on the other existing theory. They could not explain well uh, there are the no competing schooling by school of thought in the macro and micro and macro has the school like ancient order neoclassical. Since the later 1980s, the division have been the narrowing. The economics is the third full area of the economic other than the micro and macro. These still seek to apply statistical and the mathematical method to the economic analysis. The sophisticated analysis of the micro and macro subfield would not have been possible without the major advancement in the economical over the past century or so. What is an economy? Economy is the economies in action. It is the still frame the picture of the economy activities in the country, in the company, and in the family will have their economies. It is the popularly used. In the case of the countries, the Indian economy, the US economy, and the Japanese economy, etc. Whole the principles and theories of the economists remain the same. The economists of countries show the diversity given the socio-economic diversity countries have. The sector and the type of economies. The economist activities in the country economies are the broadly divided into the sector and while they are the dominant the economists have their name also primary sector. The economic Primary secondary economic activities will stack less of while the exploiting the natural resources fell under it such as the mining, agriculture, the activities while the exploiting step when the agriculture sector one of the sub-sector of the primary sector that contribute the minimum part of the national income and livelihood in the country. It is the whole and the organism agree and economy. The secondary sector is the content all of the economic activities under which the raw material extracted out of the primary sector are the post, processed all the for the industrial sector. One of it is the subsector the manufacturing has the profit to be the largest employment across the Western development economies, while the secondary sector will be in the minimum half of the national income and employment in the country. It is the coal and the industrial economy. The tertiary sector, all of the economic activities where service and bodies and this the sectors such as the education, healthcare, banking, communication, as when this sector that contribute the minimum half of the national income uh, and the livelihood in the country. It is the fall in the service economy later on the expert create two more sector of economy, the quaternary and the quinary, though they are the subsector of the tertiary sector. The quaternary sector uh, known also as the knowledge sector, the activities related to the education, research, and the development as come under the sector played the most important role in the defining the quality of the human resources and economy as the culinary sector of the activities where of the decision are the main goal under it the highest level of the decision maker in the government inclusive of their the music and private corporation sector fall under it. The number of the people that involved in this sector is the very low. Rather, they are the considered the brain behind the socio-economic performance of the economy, the state of growth. When looking at the way the developed countries did grow, everything which was the by the Russian in 1960s. As well as the economic and the target industries through the three sectors that is the agriculture, industry and service. However, the several countries show the expedition to this similar pattern. India and many other Southeast Asian countries such as the Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand and Vietnam fall under this category. These countries moves from the access of the aviation to the several economy without must have the expansion of this their industrial sector. Indians show the uh, transition from the dominance of the agriculture to the several sector by in the 1990s when the contribution of the several in the national income crossed 50% mark. Economic system, the human life that depend on the use the contribution of the certain in the food and service, some of whose up to level are also the essential such as food, water, shelter, for staff. For the survive, how to let the people have this thing was the first challenge for the humanity. This challenge has the two dimensions. with. The first thing is things that need to be the create, create the produce, and the secondary they should reach the distributed the supply to the needy people who the production one need to set up the productive asset for which the money need to be the spent not as the investment but who will the invest and why in the process of the taking on these sellers there involve the different types of the economic system that is the different ways of the organizing an economy. We can get prepared in the long list of the economic system. However, three of them are the considered the major ones as a bright overview of which the follow below. Market economy. This is the considered the first the formal economic system emerges out of the traditional economic system. It is the origin is the trace back to the world and the inquiry into the nature and the causes of the wealth of the nation. 1776 of the Scottish philosopher and economist Adam Smith. 1723 is the main ideas behind the sum up in the simplified way. In the following way, it is the servitors who the motivate the individual firm to do the economic activities out of which the society get the food and the service supply good. It means the product society get is the inherent the social benefit of someone's the self-interest action. Adam Smith called this motivating factor the invisible hand. Often the call as the animal split this with the question like who would the invest in the productive asset and why the seem to get the answer to attain the higher prosperity there should be the increasing division of the labor, the specialization of the labor force by the breaking down large jobs into the small component, thus specialization being in the speed, the precision, and the quality in the labor forces for the invisible and to the operator properly a suitable implement in this market determined by the forces of the demand and the supply for the market forces is the required what to the produce, how much to the produce and what price to sell. That is the supply. All this as the decision depend on these forces such and the economic system need to be the regulated by the competition the prevailing in the market for the for the efficient operation of the economic activities, government should follow the policy of the analyzes the fire the France what which mean leave it alone, which is generally the translated by the economists as the non-interference, that is the government better the economists the performance here on the non-interference by the government means the great meaning the different things such as the government the willing no or less the economist's role the protecting none of the good and service, no economic regulation, and no tax imposed. That's right. Smith himself opposes us and the economic system as the system of the natural liberty. The rather is the idea when the drivers of the two natural economic system, the capitalism and the free market economy, though they are based on the same economic environment, demand, and supply. There are the sub. There are the subtle difference between them. Whether capitalism is the forces on the creation of wealth and the ownership of the product asset. Free market economy is the focus on the exchange of the wealth for the production and the supply of the good and service. In the capitalism system, there might be the government, the regulation, but private owner can have the monopoly on the market and thus prevent the competition. However, a free market economy is solely based on the market force, the demand and the supply, and there is the battle or no government regulation that is why in the free market the economic free competition is the possible without any the intervention from outside forces. The SAS and the economic system for the first in the USA in 1777 from the where the capitalism the spread across the whole the Euro-American, the Northern American and the Western Europe. These economies enjoy high the prosperity and the operate well till God hit with the Great Depression in 1929. By that time, the great capital was the MS multi and trans, transnational companies, while the majority remaining for the widening coordinated inequality in the forces over that time. The tax were imposed, but they were very few in the number and at a very lower rate, with the state doubling negligible the welfare role. The cost of this system, the support by the democratic right and the freedom this system had the great environment for the individual, the success, invention, and the business the activities through it the loop the smoothly operating for over one and a half the centuries. The oldest civilizations in life it is the onset of the revolution which can be the summarized the precisely in the following way. There are almost no to the loop after those who have the lower the per- perception power that is the for the negligible. There are almost no the to the low the after those who have the lower perceiving the power that is the poor. Thank you so much.